Well, hey everybody, and welcome to Eric's Trains. 2025 is going to mark Lionel's 125th anniversary, and I'm sure they'll be doing lots of stuff to celebrate that anniversary. But basically, what that means is that Lionel has been making trains for a really, really long time. And one of my favorite things that they tend to do from time to time is when they take something old, something from the past, and sort of bring it into the modern age. And that's exactly what they did in 2017 with the pre-war inspired Scale S-2 freight set. So basically what we have here is a modern 3-rail O-scale freight set with all the features and technology we expect here in the 21st century, but the styling draws its influence from the pre-war era, that era that spans from around 1900 to right up until the US entered World War II in 1941. And I think that is super cool. Now, Lionel originally offered the pre-war inspired S-2 freight set in their 2017 Volume 1 catalog. I did not originally order this. I did, however, order one of the more realistic looking New York Central S-2 locomotives that they had in the same catalog. This is a beautiful locomotive. It's got the swinging bell effect. I also did a video on this a few years ago, so check that out if you haven't. But for whatever reason, I did not order this set at the time. And this happens to me all the time. I'll put my order in when the catalog comes out, and then a year or so later when all that stuff starts arriving, I inevitably end up thinking, gosh, what was I thinking when the catalog came out? Why didn't I order X, Y, and Z? And that was the case here. I couldn't believe I didn't order it. It was such a beautiful set, and just for whatever reason, I didn't order one, and I always regretted that. But a couple months ago, I was finally able to pick one of these up on eBay for a very reasonable price. One of the reasons you can pick these up for a reasonable price is because they're not very popular. Most hobbyists kind of overlook stuff like this for a few reasons. First of all, most people in the hobby don't care for pre-war trains anymore. Most hobbyists don't care for a modern 3-rail O-scale train that's decorated like a pre-war train. And finally, the set is led by, a relatively small, unexciting locomotive, the S-2, especially when you compare it to bigger steam and diesel locomotives. And so for those reasons, most people overlooked this, and I was able to get it for a good price. And I kind of feel sorry for people who overlook this stuff because they don't get to experience the beauty that these sets are. But at the same time, I kind of like it for myself because it means I'm able to get them at a really good price. Anyway, what we're going to do is check out this really cool pre-war inspired box. Then we'll get the set out of the box, and on the way out, we'll do a quick comparison between the pre-war inspired S-2 locomotive and this New York Central version, and then we'll also check out the pre-war inspired freight cars. So let's get started. All right, so it came in its original box, which is a good sign. Lionel Line Scale Tinplate S-2 Freight Set. Man, I'm so stoked about this. I have regretted not ordering one of these ever since it was cataloged, and to finally have one, man, I am so excited. So to help unbox this from my knife collection, we'll be using this little guy today. This is the Leatherman Skeletool. It's a Leatherman tool. It's a variation on the Leatherman. There's the knife. Let's get this thing out of its box. It's been in here a long time. It deserves to be freed, and it deserves to be ran on the layout. There's nothing more tragic than a train that can't be run. Well, I guess it was opened at one point because there's a flyer in there for the place I bought it from on eBay. Oh yeah. Pre-war style box. This is going to look so cool. Wow. That is killer. Total pre-war style box. The tragic thing about this is that a lot of people aren't going to watch this video. I know that going into it, because they just don't get pre-war trains. They're not interested. If it's not a big boy or a Challenger or something, they don't want to watch it. And that's too bad. I feel sorry for those people because this is just amazing. Pre-war inspired Scale S-2 freight set. All cars feature tinplate inspired deco and finished with brass plates, scale details, and features including, and then they've got legacy and all the kind of features you get on a modern legacy set. I mean, this to me is kind of the magic that makes this hobby so much fun. And I love it because it's a best of both worlds approach. It's a mix of modern and old. Can't go wrong. All right, so there's the caboose. There's one of the cars, and then there's another car under the caboose. I guess we'll open up the... Well, we'll open up the cars first. We'll save the best for last. Let's see what I got here. I'm wondering if I should put on my gloves to handle these, because with tin plate, it's always so shiny. I usually wear gloves when I'm handling it. Very cool. It's a modern O-scale caboose. You've seen these in other road names, but it's got that pre-war tin plate feel to it, including the gold on the trucks. I mean, this is just such a brilliant idea. I wish they'd do more of these. I don't know if maybe they didn't get a lot of orders, but I think these things are absolutely beautiful. Just amazing. Yeah, Lionel lines hopper. Looks like it's done up in black. This has a few smudges on it. Need to be cleaned up a little bit, so I wonder if this was handled by someone at one point. That's okay if it was. I really don't care, but again, modern coal hopper with pre-war style. All right, and we've got the caboose. Nope, sorry, this is the reefer. I already opened the caboose. Yeah, this one has tape. I love that one. Steel reefer. You could see these in any other road name, but again, it's got that pre-war style with the Lionel lines and the pre-war coloring. That's awesome. Now, it's influenced, so this is not tin plate. It's not metal tin plate. It's just painted to look like it. Very cool. All right, and now the pièce de résistance. New York Central S-2 electric locomotive. Like I said in the intro, I've already got one that's painted in a prototypical black. So I'm very familiar with this model. This is just going to look very different. Here's the tag. Instruction manual. Same instruction manual that came with the black version that I already have. Oh man. Ooh. Heavy. Look at that. What a beauty. All right, let's get all this stuff on the layout. All right, doesn't this thing look great? And, you know, now that I'm seeing it on the layout, I'm kind of sad that Lionel never made any add-on matching cars to go with this set. That would have been really cool. Anyway, you know, whenever I review a set like this, I think it's important to set the tone and set people's expectations, because these trains are not for everybody. I know that, and that's okay. You know, a lot of people in this hobby, all they care about is realism and features and all that stuff. And for something like this, it's not really down that path of being ultra realistic. Now, it is a scale set, but it's infused with this pre-war spirit. And I think that's a really cool fusion because, you know, with pre-war trains, it wasn't about realism at all. It was about these bright, colorful, beautiful caricatures of trains that were really pieces of art in a sense. And the enjoyment of pre-war trains doesn't really center around how realistic they are. It's all about how beautiful and artistic they are. And so when you combine that sort of pre-war mindset with modern scale realism, you get a really cool hybrid. And I think stuff like this is important because it serves as a reminder, for me at least, not to take this hobby too seriously. You know, some people get so bogged down in the details and the realism, and sometimes I think it's easy to forget that, yeah, scale realism and features and all that stuff are important, but just as important is the ability to let go and have fun and let your imagination run wild. And that's what stuff like this is all about. You know, it's kind of the same reason I like that we have 3 rails on 3-rail O-scale track, because that third rail always reminds me never to take things too seriously, and that a large part of this hobby is about just having fun, letting go, and embracing that childlike wonder and the ability to use your imagination to take you places where realism cannot. And so if you look at something like this and your reaction is, oh, I don't like it, it's not realistic, you know, you're kind of missing the point. It's kind of like looking at a Picasso and saying, oh, that's not realistic, I don't like it. Again, that's not the point. Anyway, so focusing on the locomotive for a moment, here I've got the original New York Central S-2 that Lionel did in the same catalog. And like I said, I did review this when it first came out. If you want to watch that review, I'll put a link to it in this video. And then we've got the pre-war inspired S-2. They're exactly the same, basically, except for the paint scheme, and also the fact that the pre-war inspired version has those brass Lionel badges on the side. But other than that, same features, same length, same weight, all that kind of stuff, including the incredible swinging bell feature. Yes, this S2 had the automatic swinging bell feature, which is one of my favorite advanced features that Lionel has ever done. I love it. So in a nutshell, the pre-war inspired Lionel Lions S2 is exactly the same as the New York Central S2, just with the more whimsical paint scheme. Anyway, now this thing is pretty heavy. You know, you may think it looks small and cheap at first glance, but it's not. They've got this high gloss paint on here to give it that pre-war charm, and so that might lead you to think that it's cheap plastic or something like that. But no, just like the other S2, this is all die-cast metal, sheet metal, and brass. So if I drop it on the scale, 4 pounds, 5.6 ounces. Yeah, pretty heavy considering how small it is. I mean, you hold it in your hand and it's really no joke. Now, just like the other S2, they've got this cap that you can remove up top, where you've got the master controls for the engine, run program, and the master volume knob. No smoke unit, of course, because it's an electric. Here's what the underside looks like. 2 pickup rollers, 2 traction tires, and they've also got that Lionel LCS sensor down there. Yeah, I mean, it has a very reassuring weight in the hand. It's great. And we'll take a quick look at the pieces of rolling stock again. So basically a scale Lionel coal hopper, but done up in this high gloss paint with the badging. That's why I'm wearing these gloves now, because I don't want to get fingerprints on this high gloss black, because they really show up. The coal load pops out. There it is. That. See if I can get it back in with these gloves. There we go. And you've got die-cast trucks and couplers, a little metal brake wheel there, and metal grab irons. Very nice. And here's that reefer. Again, die-cast metal trucks and couplers. Nice underframe detailing. Opening hatches up on top. There we go. Metal brake wheel. And opening doors. Now, this might be a trick with these gloves on. Let's see if I can do it. Oh, there we go. And I love these brass badges. These are straight out of the pre-war period, and they're so cool. And here's your caboose again, and you can see why I'm wearing the gloves. I already have fingerprints on here. Die-cast metal trucks and couplers, pickup rollers for interior illumination. Got a switch down here to turn the interior light on and off. All right, now comes the fun part. Let's start this thing up, check it out, and take it for a spin.
This is the yard office. Do you copy? Roger that. I read you. Oh,
All right, so because this thing was made in 2017, that was before the days of Lionel legacy locomotives having 5 horns and 5 bells. So this has a single horn and a single bell sound. So first, let's check out the horn. And here's the bell. And lastly, here's a little sampling of some of the crew talk sounds.
This is the operator. Clear to proceed east from where you stand at track speed. Acknowledged. I got green. Down. This is the operator. You're clear to proceed. Over. Acknowledged. I got green. Down. This is the yardmaster. Need to hold you. Over. Roger that. Standing by. Down. Dispatcher. Still wondering about that
All right, so there you have it, the Lionel tinplate pre-war inspired S-2 freight set from 2017. Wow, I can't believe this thing is already 6 years old. Time flies. I'm so glad I finally got this set. I've wanted it ever since it was cataloged, and now I can finally scratch it off the list. Now, I know sets like this don't appeal to everybody, and if you don't like it, that's okay. I know that a lot of people aren't going to like these types of sets. I know that going in. I know that videos like this are going to get fewer views than a video on, say, a big boy or a challenger. But this is something I'm passionate about, and sometimes I like to do videos that I want to do and that I'm passionate about versus videos that I know that everybody wants, and this certainly falls into that category. And hopefully maybe along the way during this video I've changed a mind or two and made someone say, hey, I should take a closer look at that pre-war stuff, whether it's the modern pre-war inspired stuff like this or the original pre-war style trains, either the real ones that were made in the 20s and 30s or the modern reproductions. And if you do like stuff like this, you're in luck, because the fact that a lot of people don't like trains of this style means that you can get these for a good price. The original retail price on this set in the catalog was right at $1,000, but I got this one for around $800, which I thought was a good deal, and I've even seen some of these hovering in the $700s. So yeah, if you like this type of train, you can get a pretty good deal on them. If you'd like to support this channel, I would greatly appreciate it. That can be done through Patreon at patreon.com/ericstrains. Patreon supporters get access to all sorts of perks and benefits, and you can read about those benefits on my Patreon page. Basically, if you're a Patreon supporter, all of your wildest dreams will come true. Yeah, so I'd like to put a big thank you out there to all of my current Patreon supporters. Your support means the world, not only to me, but to the future of this channel. And an extra super big thank you goes out to my premium tier Patreon supporters. You'll see their names at the end of this video. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you have to say. That's going to do it for now. I'm Eric Siegel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.